In the heart of the Persian Empire, during the 5th century BC, lived a woman whose quiet strength and bold courage would rewrite the fate of an entire nation. Her name was Esther, a young Jewish woman who rose from obscurity to become queen. But Esther wasn't just royalty. She was a rescuer, a leader, and a symbol of fearless purpose. Her story is one of faith, timing, and the power of influence used for something far greater than personal gain. Esther's journey begins not in palaces, but in exile. Like many Jews at the time, she lived in Persia after her people had been taken from Jerusalem. Raised by her cousin, Mordecai, after losing her parents, Esther lived a quiet life until one day, her beauty and poise brought her into the spotlight. King Xerxes, ruler of Persia, had dismissed his former queen and was searching for a new one. After a kingdom-wide search, Esther was chosen to become queen though. Her true identity as a Jew remained hidden. At first glance, Esther seemed like any other royal figure in history. But destiny had written a different script. While she settled into life in the palace, danger brewed outside its walls. A powerful man named Haman, advisor to the fueled by pride and a personal grudge against Mordecai, Haman manipulated the king into signing a decree, one that could not be reversed under Persian law. Panic spread among the Jewish people. Mordecai sent word to Esther, urging her to intervene. But it wasn't so simple. Approaching the king without being summoned was a crime, punishable by death even for the queen. Esther was terrified. But Mordecai's reply stirred something deep within her. He said, "Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this?" Those words changed everything. Esther fasted. She prayed. She gathered strength not from her position, but from her purpose. Then, dressed in royal robes but armed with a greater authority, her faith in calling, Esther approached the king. Her life hung in the balance. But the king extended his golden scepter, sparing her life and signaling favor. Rather than make a desperate plea immediately, Esther used wisdom. She invited the king and Haman to a banquet. Then another. Her patience, grace, and strategic thinking bought her time in when the moment was right. She revealed her true identity and exposed Haman's plot. The king was enraged. Haman was executed, and a new decree was issued. The Jews were allowed to defend themselves. When the day of attack came, the Jewish people stood firm and triumphed. A nation that had been marked for destruction was saved, all because one woman dared to step forward. Esther's courage wasn't loud or flashy. It wasn't built on speeches or armies. It was the kind of courage that wrestled with fear, yet chose to act anyway. She didn't just save lives, she redefined what it means to lead. Esther teaches us that leadership isn't about titles or thrones. It's about timing, truth, and the willingness to risk comfort for a cause. Her famous words, "for such a time as this," still echo today. They remind us that we each have moments where we must rise, where our voice matters, where our choices ripple through history. In modern times, Esther's story is more relevant than ever. We live in an age where influence is currency through media, platforms, politics. But what do we do with that influence? Esther used hers not for self-preservation, but to serve her people. In an era when silence was safe, she spoke up. In a time of fear, she chose faith. Whether you're leading a company, a classroom, a family, or a quiet life behind the scenes, your moment may come. The moment to stand for truth, to speak for the voiceless, to act when others hesitate. Esther's story reminds us that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. Step forward. This is your time. From ancient Persia to the pages of leadership literature, Esther remains a timeless symbol of purpose-driven action. She didn't just save her people, she inspired generations to use their voice, their influence, and their platform for such a time as this. Takeaway: Esther's story is not just history, it's a call to lead with courage, to speak with wisdom, and to recognize that the positions we hold, the people we meet, and the times we live in are not accidents, they're assignments. So when your moment comes, may you remember Esther, and may you find the courage to rise.